Hello everyone, welcome back to Edimoon Tutorials. I am Vidya, your instructor for Database Management Systems. In our last video, we have covered about entities, attributes and entity sets along with relationship and relationship sets. And in today's video, we are going to cover the additional features of ER model. So let's get started. As we know, ER model is the most used semantic model. The expressiveness of ER model has made it one of the widespread used semantic model. With the help of an ER model, we not only represent the entities and the relationship between the entities, we can also specify and represent the key constraints that we wish to apply on our database system. So in today's video, we are going to discuss such additional features of ER model. Some of the additional features are key constraints, participation constraints, weak entities, class hierarchies which include specialization and generalization, and finally aggregation. Now let's see what are key constraints. If an entity set E has a constraint in a relationship set R, each entity in an instance of E appears in at most one relationship set R. This states that an entity in an entity set should participate at least once in the relationship set R. Such a condition is called as a key constraint. For example, here there is a relationship managers between two entity sets, that is employee and department. Here the employee is allowed to work in any number of departments, but there is a restriction that each department must be managed by one single manager. This restriction can be an example of key constraint. Here the key constraint is that each department should have at least one manager managing all of its operations. So, to represent such key constraints in an ER model, we use an arrow pointed from an entity to the relationship. So this is how this thing shows that each entity in the department entity set should participate at least once in the managing relationship instance. So we represent it with the arrow from E to R. So this can be extended to our ternary relationship as well. It's simply adding one more entity to our existing example. So in this example, if I add location, this states that the department can have any number of workers working in each department. And similarly, in one location, there can be any number of employees working in it. So here I'll state a key constraint that each employee should be working in at least one location and one department. This completes the key constraints. Now let's see the second feature of ER model, that is participation constraint. Participation constraints is a total number of entities in an entity set participating in the relationship set. This is of two types. One is a total participation and the other one is a partial participation. We say a participation is total participation if all the entities in the entity set participate in a relationship. For example, each employee working in an organization should belong to any one of the departments. Right? An employee can't be sitting idle. So, each employee should be working in any one of the departments in that particular organization. We represent this total participation in an ER diagram with the help of a double line from the entity to the relationship. Right. Next, partial participation. We say a participation is partial if not all the entities in the entity set are involved in the relationship set. For example, there can be any number of employees working in a department, but there can be only one manager for one department. So, every employee cannot be a manager. Here, the employee is a partial participation in the managing relationship. This is termed as a partial participation. Now let's see an example where you'll see both the participations. Here we have two entity sets, employee and department, and we have a relationship employees managing the department. Employees to the manager relationship is a partial relationship. So we represent it using a single line only. And when it comes to total participation, that is, employee working in each department will be our total participation. And we represent it using a double lines from the employee to the works in and then to the department. So this completes the participation constraints. Now let's see the third feature, that are weak entities. We have already discussed about the weak entities in our last video, and I recommend you to watch that video for better understanding. But I'll be explaining it, I'll be giving a brief explanation about the weak entities in this lecture also. So weak entities, as we know, the entity sets that does not have a primary key is known as a weak entity. As we don't have a primary key, we have to build a primary key by depending on other strong entity. So the strong entity that we depend is known as an identifying owner, and the weak entity that we have is a dependent entity. And the relationship between this weak entity and the strong entity is known as the identifying relationship, as we discussed in our last lecture. So for a weak entity, for any entity to be weak entity, we have two restrictions. There should be a one-to-many relationship between them. That means we should have a one-to-many relationship between the strong entity and a weak entity. And the second restriction states that the weak entity must have total participation in the relationship. That's true, right? In order to identify the entities in the weak entity uniquely, we should be using a primary key from the identifying owner. So it is mandatory that the weak entity should have a total participation in the identifying relationship. So we define the primary key by combining the partial keys of our weak entity along with the primary key of our strong entity. This becomes a new key that we use for identifying each entity uniquely in our weak entities. So if we have to represent this entire thing in an ER diagram, we represent it with the help of double rectangle and double diamonds. We represent the weak entities with the help of double rectangle, and the relationship between the strong entity and weak entity, that means the identifying relationship, is represented using a double diamond. In our example, there are two entity sets: employees, the dependents, and policy. The policies given to each employee depend on different dependents. That means it can be his age, it can be the position is working in, it can be the department is working in, right? But depending upon the department, you can't define the policies, because one person might be working in two or more departments as well. So department is a dependent here. We have age and P name. So it has to depend on the employees for giving the policies. So this is obviously a weak entity which is depending on the employees. So this is represented using a double rectangle, and this identifying relationship is also represented using a double diamond, and as we stated, it should have a total participation. We have given this also. So this is how we represent a weak entity set in an ER diagram. So this completes our weak entity sets. Now let's move to the next topic, that is class hierarchies. So we have a feature called class hierarchies in the ER model that will let us to have the hierarchies between the entities in an entity set. So this can be done in two ways. One is a specialization and the other one is a generalization. So now let's see what is specialization and generalization, and later we'll look at an example to understand it better. So specialization. Specialization is the process of dividing a single entity into sub-entities depending upon their characteristics. It's common that when we have to divide a single thing into two different things, we do consider the distinguishing factor that they have. For example, if I have to divide fruits, I'll divide them into seasonal fruits and the fruits that are available in every season. So the distinguishing factor here is that the availability of them, right? Similarly, specialization is also a process of dividing a single entity into sub-entities depending upon their distinguishing features. So this is a top-down approach. And next, generalization. Generalization is a process of extracting the common properties from a set of entities and then creating a generalized entity from it. For example, there are few bananas, apples and guavas on a table. Now I can generalize the statement and I can say there are fruits on a table. Here I am considering the common properties that bananas, guavas and apples have, and I am generalizing them as fruits. So generalization is a similar process. It is a bottom-up approach because first we are defining the sub-entities and then we are creating a new entity from them depending upon their common features. So let's look at our example, which is a relationship between the employees and the types of employees. If we consider the specialization, we should follow a top-down approach where we will be looking from the top to bottom. Here our employee is divided into a hourly employee, a contract employee. That means an employee can either be a hourly employee or he can be a contract employee. So each of them having their own set of attributes. Here a single entity is divided into two entities and then we are defining their own set of attributes where hourly employee has the hours worked and the wage for that hour. The contract employee has its contract ID. So if we consider a generalization, we'll see a bottom-up approach where both the hourly employees and contract employees collectively cover the employees. Who are the employees? The employees that are hourly employees and the contract employees are collectively called as the employees. So this is what is a specialization and generalization. Now let's see the constraints that we apply on a easy hierarchy. And yeah, I'm sorry, this entire relationship and the class hierarchy is known as a easy relationship, and we represent a easy relationship with the help of a triangle. Now let's see the two kinds of constraints that we have on a easy hierarchies. So the two constraints are the overlapping constraints and the covering constraints. What are overlapping constraints? So within an easy hierarchy, it determines whether or not two subclasses can contain same entity. For example, let's take an employee Vidya. Can Vidya be both a contract employee and a hourly employee? It's not possible, right? It doesn't make any sense. But there are two entities that can be overlapped. They are Vidya can be a contract employee and she can also be a senior employee as well. So these two entities can be overlapped. So the employee named Vidya can be a contract employee which overlaps with a senior employee. She can be a senior employee as well. This is what is an overlap constraint. And the next constraint is covering constraint. Covering constraint determines whether all entities in the subclass collectively include all entities in the superclass. For example, this constraint checks that the possible values for the main class, that means here the hourly employees and the contract employees covers the employees, right? For example, who are the employees? The employees that are working either as a hourly employee and contract employee. So the possible values for the employees would be the values from the hourly employee and contract employees only. So this completes our constraints on a easy relationship and also the class hierarchy. Now let's see the fifth feature of ER model, which is aggregation. So aggregation is a participation of a relationship set in another relationship set. That means it is a process in which a single entity alone is not able to make sense in a relationship. So this relationship itself acts as a single entity and then participates in another relationship set. Okay, you'll understand it when we see this example. For example, there is a manager who manages the project and the employees involved in that project. For example, if I have a relationship only between the employee and manager, this won't make sense, because a manager working in a project, he not only manages the activities of project but also manages the employees as well. So a relationship between employees or managers project doesn't make sense. You should have a complete relationship between the employees working in the project with the manager. So I'm considering this entire relationship between the employees and project as a single entity, and then I'm having a relationship managers with the second entity set, that is manager. So this is what is an aggregation. So this completes our today's lecture, and in the next class we'll be discussing the conceptual database design along with a brief introduction to the relational model. So stay tuned. Thank you.